Good morning, everybody. Coffee time and then time to go out. Oh, I'm all twisted. To visit Healthy. Yesterday, I was on a live stream and listening to a lady play some piano music. Now, I can't play the piano, not really. I can tinker, but and maybe pick out a song or two, but I'm more of a violin person. I can play the violin a little more than a little, you know. Anyway, this lovely lady was playing tunes on the piano, and we were listening and guessing which tunes they were. And the one, I got it up to the second or third key, and it brought back a deluge of emotion in me. Not the tinkering and the piano, but the words of this song that were in my head, and have always been in my head. And so I felt compelled really to come on here this morning and just to share something with you. Life isn't black or white. It's somewhere in between. And when I say that, I mean life as in we who inhabit the earth, individuals. Nothing is black and white. No one is beyond sin, not even the Pope, although it's said he's God's representative on earth. You know, the wealth of the Vatican and the things that go on in Vatican City, as in London City, these people have people behind them who are pulling the strings and making the earth no longer what God meant it to be. I'm not an overly religious person. I wouldn't class myself as a religious person. I think I would class myself as a Christian, although, as I've said many times, I veer more towards the premise of Buddhism, which believes in forgiveness, which believes in mistakes rather than sins that are going to damn you forever. But this song, yesterday, was a song that I'm sure all of you will know, but not all of you will know the background behind it. The name of the song, the name of the hymn, it was written as a hymn, not a tune to be played as it has been over and over again, but it's nice to think that that's happened. And the name of the song is Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. That hymn was written by John Newton. He was a slave trader. He was born in England and in Buckinghamshire, I believe. I'll have to check that. And at the age of 6 years old, his mother died when he was 6. And her intention was always for her son to become a clergyman. But she died. Little John Newton was brought up by his father and his stepmother, who was distant, if not resentful of him. And therefore there was no maternal instincts, nobody he could go to, as children do, except his father, who I believe was a sea captain.
My apologies, I don't understand.
Oh, what's that switched on for? Hey Google, switch off. Didn't realise that was on. Anyway, at the age of 11, his father took him to sea. And he learnt all the profanities and the ways of the seamen. And that was his life, really. A little bit later in his life, John Newton was press ganged into service. And he himself was a sort of slave then. And he became part of the notorious slave trade, bringing people from Africa across to England, across to the Americas, slaves in chains. There was a time when John himself, because of his profanities and making fun of the captain of the ship, was himself put in chains. So he was a slave trader. At the age of about 23, 25, there was a storm, and off the coast of Ireland his ship almost was wrecked, and he cried out in fear to God to save him. From that day forth, John Newton's path was set. He married a lady called Polly. Eventually he gave up the sea, went to live with Polly in a little place called Olney, Olney, I think, in Buckinghamshire. He became a clergyman, which is what his mother always wanted him to be. And in 1778 or 79, he wrote the hymn, Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. John Newton became a mentor of William Wilberforce, the great man who campaigned vicariously against the slave trade. He became his mentor, a father-like figure. But John Newton himself never forgave what he perceived as his unforgivable sins. He cried out for grace. He believed he didn't deserve it. He said he was worse than the worst drunkard, more loathsome than murderers and pickpockets in the street, because of what he'd indulged in and worked at. And that brings me back to nothing is black and nothing is white. All of us as individuals have that grey area. There are many things I don't forgive myself for. I think that grace is something that is given to you as a gift if you repent truly and fully. And maybe one day many of us will feel that change in our path. as John Newton did, and find the grace that calls us all. I'll speak to you later. Bye-bye.